The sound of shattering glass echoed through the elegant dining room, but it wasn't an accident. Marcus deliberately knocked over the wine glass, sending crimson liquid cascading across the white tablecloth, pooling dangerously close to where Sophia sat frozen in humiliation. "This is exactly what I'd expect from someone like you," he sneered, his voice carrying across the hushed restaurant. "Clumsy, unsophisticated, completely out of your league." Sophia's hands trembled as she reached for a napkin, her cheeks burning with shame as dozens of eyes turned toward their table. She had worn her best dress tonight, spent hours preparing for what she thought would be a wonderful evening, only to discover that Marcus saw her as nothing more than entertainment, a project to mock and belittle in front of everyone. What Sophia didn't know was that at the table directly behind them, a single father named Adrian sat with his 8-year-old daughter, Zara, watching the entire scene unfold. Adrian's jaw tightened as he heard the cruel words, saw the tears forming in the young woman's eyes, and felt something inside him snap. He had raised Zara alone since his wife passed away 3 years ago, teaching her about kindness, respect, and standing up for those who couldn't stand up for themselves. Tonight, he was about to teach someone else a lesson they would never forget. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and standing up against bullying, please hit that like button, share this story, and subscribe to our channel. We need more compassion in this world, and your support helps spread these important messages. Also, tell us in the comments where you're watching from. We love hearing from our global family. Sophia had met Marcus 3 weeks earlier through a dating app. His profile had been impressive, successful businessman, well-traveled, cultured. Their text conversations had been engaging, filled with discussions about art, literature, and philosophy. When he suggested dinner at Bella Vista, one of the city's most exclusive restaurants, Sophia had been thrilled but also nervous. She worked as a kindergarten teacher, lived in a modest apartment, and rarely had opportunities to experience such luxury. She saw it as a chance to step into a different world, to connect with someone who seemed genuinely interested in her thoughts and dreams. But from the moment Marcus picked her up, something felt wrong. His compliments felt backhanded, his questions invasive. "So, a teacher," he had said with a condescending smile. That must be fulfilling in its own small way. Sophia had tried to overlook it, telling herself she was being too sensitive. Perhaps this was just how successful people talked. Perhaps she needed to adjust her expectations. The restaurant was breathtaking: crystal chandeliers, live piano music, tables draped in imported lens. Sophia had never been anywhere so elegant. She noticed how the other diners were dressed, how they carried themselves with effortless confidence. She felt like an imposter, and somehow Marcus sensed it. He began his assault slowly, commenting on how she held her fork, questioning her wine choice, correcting her pronunciation of French menu items. Each remark was delivered with a smile, as if he were doing her a favor by educating her. Then came the wine incident. Sophia had been reaching for her water glass when Marcus abruptly moved, causing her elbow to bump the wine. But before she could even react, he had grabbed the glass himself and deliberately knocked it over, blaming her for the mess. The accusation was so brazen, so publicly humiliating, that Sophia found herself unable to speak. Tears welled in her eyes as the server rushed over with fresh linens, apologizing profusely even though nothing was her fault. "Perhaps we should have gone somewhere more suited to your experience level," Marcus continued, his voice dripping with false concern. "I thought you could handle fine dining, but clearly I overestimated." He gestured to the server. "We'll need to move tables. This one is ruined." That's when Adrian stood up. He was tall, with kind eyes, and the confident bearing of someone who had weathered real storms in life. He walked to their table and addressed Marcus directly. "Excuse me, I couldn't help but overhear. I think there's been a misunderstanding here." His voice was calm but firm, carrying an authority that made Marcus look up with irritation. "This is a private conversation," Marcus said dismissively. "Please return to your table." Adrian smiled, but there was steel behind it. "I don't think so. You see, my daughter is sitting right there, and she just watched you deliberately knock over that wine glass and blame this young lady for it. Now, I'm trying to teach her about integrity and treating people with respect, and your behavior is making that rather difficult." Marcus's face flushed red. "How dare you? How dare I?" Adrian interrupted, his voice rising slightly. "How dare you bring someone to a nice restaurant and spend the entire evening belittling her? How dare you deliberately create a scene to humiliate someone who did nothing wrong?" He turned to Sophia, his expression softening. "Ma'am, I apologize for intervening, but I couldn't sit by and watch this continue." Sophia looked up at him, surprise and gratitude flooding through her. For the first time that evening, someone was acknowledging what was really happening. She wasn't imagining it. She wasn't being too sensitive. This stranger saw the truth. Marcus stood up, trying to regain control of the situation. "This is none of your business. Security should remove you," actually, came a voice from across the room. "I think we need to have a conversation." The restaurant manager approached, a distinguished older gentleman who had been watching from the bar. "Mr. Adrian is one of our most valued patrons. He's also right. I've been observing your table since you arrived, sir, and your treatment of your companion has been unacceptable." The restaurant had gone completely silent now. All pretense of polite ignorance had vanished. Everyone was watching. Marcus sputtered, trying to salvage his dignity. "This is outrageous. Do you know who I am? I spend thousands here. And you're no longer welcome," the manager said calmly. "We pride ourselves on creating an atmosphere of elegance and respect. Your behavior violates both. Please settle your bill and leave." The color drained from Marcus's face. He looked around the room, seeing the disgust in people's eyes, realizing that his attempt to elevate himself by diminishing someone else had backfired spectacularly. Without another word, he threw cash on the table and stormed out, leaving Sophia sitting alone, still trembling. Adrian gently pulled out a chair. "May I?" When Sophia nodded, he sat down. "I'm Adrian, and that's my daughter Zara over there. We were just having dinner, and I'm sorry you had to experience that." Sophia finally found her voice. "I thought I was crazy. I thought maybe I was just not sophisticated enough to understand." "No," Adrian said firmly. "What you experienced was abuse. Emotional abuse. Deliberate humiliation. None of that was about you or your worth. That was about him and his insecurities." The manager approached again, this time with a warm smile for Sophia. "Miss, your evening has been rather spoiled, but if you'd allow us, we'd like to make it right. Your meal tonight is complimentary, and if you'd like to join Mr. Adrian and his daughter, we'd be honored to move you to a better table, one with a view of the city." Sophia looked at Adrian uncertain. He smiled encouragingly. "Zara would love the company. She's been dying to ask someone about their dress. She says yours is the prettiest one she's seen all year." Something broke inside Sophia then, but in a good way. The tears that fell weren't tears of shame, but release. She laughed through them, nodding. "I'd like that very much." The next hour transformed everything. Adrian and Zara welcomed Sophia into their evening with such genuine warmth that the earlier humiliation began to feel like a bad dream. Zara was precocious and sweet, asking Sophia about teaching and telling her about her own school adventures. Adrian shared stories about single parenthood, about learning to braid hair from YouTube videos and navigating parent-teacher conferences alone. "My mom died when I was 5, Zara said matter-of-factly in the way children sometimes discuss profound things. "But Dad says she's still with us in all the good things we do. So when we're kind to people, that's Mom working through us." Sophia's heart swelled. "Your mom must have been an amazing person." "She was," Adrian said softly. "She taught me that how we treat people, especially when no one's watching, defines who we really are." Tonight, everyone was watching, and that guy showed exactly who he is. As they talked, Sophia learned that Adrian owned a construction company that specialized in building schools and community centers. He had started it after his wife died, wanting to create something meaningful that would outlast him. "Buildings are temporary," he explained. "But education, community, the impact we have on children's lives, that's forever." Sophia found herself opening up in ways she rarely did, sharing her own struggles, the loneliness of city life, the challenge of making ends meet on a teacher's salary, the dating disasters that made her question whether she'd ever find genuine connection. Adrian listened without judgment, without trying to fix everything, just present and compassionate. "You know what I've learned?" he said as dessert arrived. "The people who make you feel small aren't the ones worth your time. The right person, the right people, they make you feel more yourself, not less. They celebrate what makes you unique instead of trying to diminish it." Zara nodded sagely. "Like Dad says, if someone makes you feel bad about who you are, that's their problem, not yours." When the evening finally wound down, Adrian walked Sophia to her car. The city lights glittered around them, and for the first time in hours, Sophia felt like herself again. "Thank you," she said, "not just for standing up for me, but for reminding me that good people still exist." "They do," Adrian assured her, "and you're one of them. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise." He handed her a business card. "This is my number, not because I'm trying to ask you out. I can tell you've had enough of dates for a while, but because I think you're someone worth knowing. My company volunteers at schools, does literacy programs, builds playgrounds. If you're ever interested in collaborating, or if you just need someone to remind you of your worth, call me." Sophia took the card, feeling something shift inside her. "I will." And Adrian? Tell Zara she was right. Kindness is her mom working through both of you. 3 months passed. Sophia didn't call right away. She needed time to process what had happened, to rebuild her sense of self-worth, to remember who she was before Marcus's cruelty. She focused on her students, poured energy into her classroom, and slowly began to heal. Then one day she saw a news article about Adrian's company donating a new library to an underfunded elementary school. The photo showed him and Zara cutting the ribbon, surrounded by excited children. Sophia stared at the image, remembering that night at the restaurant, and made a decision. She called the number on the card. "Hi, Adrian. It's Sophia. I was wondering if your company needs any educational consultants for your school projects. And maybe if Zara would like to visit my classroom sometime. We're doing a unit on community heroes, and I think she'd have a lot to teach my kids about kindness." Adrian's warm laugh came through the phone. "We'd love that. Both of those things. And Sophia, I'm glad you called." What started as a professional collaboration grew into a genuine friendship. Sophia began consulting on Adrian's educational projects, helping design learning spaces that truly served children. Zara became a regular visitor to Sophia's classroom, reading to the kindergartners and helping with art projects. And slowly, naturally, something deeper developed between Sophia and Adrian. If this story has touched your heart, if you believe in the power of standing up for others and second chances at happiness, please show your support by liking this video and sharing it with someone who needs to hear this message today. Your engagement helps these stories reach more people who need hope. 6 months after that terrible restaurant date, Sophia found herself back at Bella Vista, but this time, everything was different. Adrian had invited her and planned everything carefully. When they arrived, the same manager who had defended her greeted them warmly. "Miss Sophia, it's wonderful to see you again." And under much better circumstances, they were seated at the best table, the one overlooking the glittering city. Zara was with Adrian's sister for the evening, giving them time alone. As they talked and laughed over dinner, Sophia realized something profound. That humiliating night had been a gift in disguise. If Marcus hadn't shown his true colors, if Adrian hadn't intervened, she might never have met the man who would change her life. "I need to tell you something," Adrian said as dessert arrived. "That night, when I stood up for you, I didn't just do it because it was right. I did it because when I saw you sitting there trying so hard to be brave, something in me recognized something in you. My wife always said that life puts people in our path exactly when we need them. I think she was right. Before we reach the ending, we'd love to hear from you. Please comment below and tell us, have you ever witnessed someone being mistreated in public? Did you speak up? What happened? Your story. Inspire us and create community. Drop a comment now." Sophia reached across the table and took his hand. "I spent so long thinking I wasn't enough. Not sophisticated enough, not successful enough, not interesting enough. Marcus confirmed every insecurity I had. But you and Zara, you showed me that the right people don't need you to be anything other than yourself. You were always enough," Adrian said softly. "More than enough. And I hope you'll give me the chance to spend a very long time reminding you of that." What happened to Marcus? Sophia didn't know and didn't care. She heard through mutual acquaintances that his reputation in the dating world had suffered after that night. That word had spread about how he treated women. But that wasn't her concern anymore. She had moved beyond that chapter into something infinitely better. A year later, Sophia stood in a newly built community center that Adrian's company had constructed. She was leading the ribbon-cutting ceremony for the children's reading room, a bright, beautiful space filled with books and learning materials. Zara stood beside her, beaming with pride. Adrian watched from the crowd, his eyes full of love and admiration. As Sophia addressed the gathered community, talking about the importance of education, kindness, and standing up for one another, she thought about that night at the restaurant. The humiliation had been real, the pain acute. But so was the lesson. Sometimes the worst moments in our lives redirect us toward the best ones. Sometimes being knocked down is the universe's way of showing us who will help us stand back up. She glanced at Adrian and Zara at the community center they'd built together, at the children who would learn and grow in this space. She thought about how far she'd come from that trembling woman in the restaurant, how much stronger and more confident she'd become. And she realized that Marcus had inadvertently given her a gift. He had shown her what she deserved, not his cruelty, but the opposite. He had set the bar so low that when real kindness, real respect, real love came along, she recognized it immediately and had the courage to embrace it. The lesson that single dad taught that night wasn't just for Marcus. It was for everyone watching, for everyone who had ever been made to feel small, for everyone who wondered whether standing up for others mattered. Adrian had shown that one moment of courage, one act of intervention, could change someone's entire trajectory. As Sophia cut the ribbon and the children rushed into their new reading room, she caught Adrian's eye. He smiled, and in that smile was everything: pride, love, partnership, and the promise of a future built on mutual respect and genuine connection. Zara grabbed both their hands, pulling them into the celebration, and Sophia's heart was so full she thought it might burst. She had been insulted at a restaurant date, humiliated in front of strangers, made to feel worthless by someone who should have treasured her. But a single dad and his daughter had taught everyone present a lesson that night about what really matters: kindness over cruelty, courage over cowardice, lifting others up instead of tearing them down. And in the end, that lesson had led her home,